Citizens are continuously breaking the law, some get arrested, some get away with it, and some shockingly attempt to bribe their way out by seducing the cops that are arresting them. Let's not waste any more time and jump straight into the video. Starting off, we have this lady who is suspected to be driving under the influence. She gets escorted by a cop, dropping her off at the station, and tries to seduce him on the way. This is what happens. Number 1. Skylar Floss. Kelly was bold for talking to cops like that. 18-year-old Skylar Floss is on a completely different level, going so far as to post this video to thousands of people, writing about how she got away with the DUI. I got out of a DUI and got lit off with a warning. Skylar was pulling over after an officer saw her weaving around the road in a way that suggested she might not have been completely sober. But according to her video, she claims that using her flirtatious and quick weds, she managed to trick the officer and get away with a warning. I blew a 3.8, and he let me off with a fucking warning and gave me his number and said we should meet for coffee or lunch. He was hot, so I'm getting lunch with him tomorrow. If her story is true, then the officer would be in serious trouble, but luckily the officer in question recorded the entire interaction on his body cam, and the video tells a completely different story. The deputy then does give Skylar a card with the sheriff's department's information on it, but it didn't include his personal number, and it didn't come with an invitation to dinner. Sounds like you're having a rough night. So I'm not going to add to that by writing you a ticket or anything. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a warning. It's not a big deal. I just want to make sure you're okay. You're weaving a little bit, and I just want to make sure you're okay to operate the motor vehicle. And I believe you are, so my information is right here on the front. The reason I stopped you here is on the back, where we were headed to get there safely, and I'm sorry you're having a bad night. Yeah, okay. No, you're fine. Yeah, well, you don't need to. That's all. Skylar's video doesn't just contain disgusting footage of her laughing and bragging about exploiting this officer's kindness, but also states that she blew a 3.8 on the breathalyzer, ignoring that she wasn't even tested in the first place. The legal image is only around 0.8 and already makes driving dangerous, but a reading of 3.8 would imply Skylar was not only blackout drunk but close to death, as at a level of 4.0 respiratory failure is likely. But this doesn't mean Skylar was lying about being drunk. Under rage videos were later discovered of her chugging tequila from the bottle and acting drunk at a party just hours before she was caught driving. After she was confronted with this, Skylar confessed and admitted to everything. I ended up getting a little too intoxicated. Number 2. Amelia Bassoon. This is Amelia Bassoon attempting to seduce the detectives to get away with murder. Amelia was arrested in connection with the murders of Cindy and Sean Stack. They think she helped her husband cover up the crime, but she will do everything she can to get away with it, including flirting with the detectives. But while this case started in a playful manner, it quickly evolved into one of the most intense interrogations of all time. They're both dead. I didn't do anything. The detective starts by reading Amelia her rights and getting some basic information. Already it's obvious that Amelia is making her voice high-pitched and speaking in a timid tone of voice, while this could just be what she sounds like normally. Other footage of her suggests. I don't want to press charges, but I would like a no-contact order. I can do it, okay? Her change in tone could also be a reaction to being in a stressful and uncomfortable situation, and as the interrogation continues, she begins to show more and more of these flirtatious signs. Her neck on the left, the neck carries the jugular, an important and vulnerable part of the body that many people will make an effort to protect. However, when someone feels comfortable or safe around someone, they're likely to expose their neck by tilting their head or moving their hair to the side, suggesting attraction, or at least the desire to show it. Ended with Cindy and Sean dead, but started with an equally disgusting crime. Amelia was an employee at Chase Bank and exploited her position to steal $50,000 from a dementia-ridden man. She wrote 2 checks from his account, and her husband Josh deposited them in his accounts. When Cindy and Sean started asking questions, Josh purchased a gun and shot the pair in their own apartment. This interrogation is not only to uncover the details behind the theft, but also to determine what part she played in the killings. So how did you? Amelia does her best to seem open and honest here, but as soon as she finishes up talking, she brings her shoulders up, hunches over slightly, and crosses her arms, all movements that are done to protect vital parts of the body, and her obvious tells that someone feels uncomfortable. The lines only become more apparent as the interview continues. Amelia does her best to seem open and honest here, but as soon as she finishes up talking, she brings her shoulders up, hunches over slightly, and crosses her arms, all movements that are done to protect vital parts of the body, and her obvious tells that someone feels uncomfortable. The lines only become more apparent as the interview continues. After such a stressful experience with the other detectives, will set Amelia's mind at ease and subconsciously enforce the idea that he isn't a threat. At the start of the interrogation, Amelia was trying to seduce the detectives in an attempt to get better treatment, and hopefully even a lighter sentence. So if the third detective plays into this by treating her kindly and playing her game, maybe he'll have a chance of finding. Number 3. Lydia Badillo. Lydia Badillo, she was caught trying to transport 2 illegal immigrants over the Mexican border. And as soon as everything started to fall apart, she decided to try seducing the officer. "Just wait for me right here, okay? Sorry, I'm looking at your eyes." Why? Because you look pretty handsome. As soon as the officer realizes something might be up with the IDS, Lydia starts to smile and stare directly at his eyes before telling him how handsome he is. Obviously, this is just a trick to try and get out of the position. She's put herself in a trick that isn't going to work on this officer form. Francis. Okay, now after running the woman's driver's licenses through the national database, the officer discovers that the IP numbers return completely wrong results, meaning that both of them are totally fake. It's later discovered that the 2 women with Lydia in the car are both illegal immigrants from El Salvador. What's worse is that they were being transported through a service that often forces women into debt bondage, where the people who transported them will make them pay off their debt through forced labor and sex work. So while Lydia was arrested and the 2 women sent back over the border, they may have been saved from years of horrible treatment and abuse. One thing's for sure, though, Lydia's attempt at flirting didn't work one bit, unlike Brooke Teed's attempt, which actually worked out so well. It's rumored that her and the cop are still together to this day. Brooke was pulled over after an officer witnessed her swerving around the road. And there you have it, folks, a fascinating glimpse into the world of unexpected encounters between suspects and law enforcement. Remember, police officers face a myriad of challenges every day, and maintaining their focus on the job is of utmost importance. If this video left you intrigued and wanting more insightful content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Your support keeps us motivated to bring you thought-provoking discussions.